Hey guys, happy new year. This is going to be part 3 of the story about Jairus in Luke 8, verse 40. Before I jump right into this, a couple of just little announcements. Number one, thank you so much for being a part of Aubrey's and I's life, especially while we're down here in Mexico. Thank you for your all your likes and all your comments, your shares, all of that stuff. It just means a lot, and obviously, it also helps with the art, with the algorithms of Facebook and YouTube and all that stuff. Which, if you don't follow me on YouTube, make sure to find me there. It's Fellowship of the Bread. And also, man, we launched a beautiful postcard club that my wife and I are tag teaming, and we've been enjoying doing that with you guys. And so, thank you to all of you who have participated with us in that. It's a true joy. It gives me the opportunity to do something that I do love to do, and my wife as well with the art on the postcards. Well, all right, so let's dive into what I need to say about part 3 of Jairus here. I want you to know that I don't hold what I'm about to say in a very dogmatic, very strict way. Anytime that I see it happen in Christianity a lot, and I think it's unfortunate. And so I want to make sure that you understand that that's not the direction I'm heading in. Everything that I want to talk about, what this channel is all about, is to keep Christ centered, especially when we're talking about Scripture. He is the reason why we are here, and so that is the main focus. When we start talking about numbers, which I have to say it, I believe that it needs to be mentioned. We see the number 12 talked about in this passage about Jairus' daughter and the adult lady that is dealing with the issue of blood for approximately as well 12 years. And so it's clear to me that Luke is intending to communicate something important to us. But whatever that is, it needs to stay focused on who Christ is. And the purpose is Christ. Got to stay Christ-centered. That Christological understanding of He is the center of the universe, if you will, has to be there. It has to stay put. And then everything else has to be around that, in Him and through Him. So it has to point back to Him. When you start looking at different numbers and what does number 1 mean and what does number 5 or 7 or whatever, 100, it tends to want to draw the focus away from Christ. And then all of a sudden you start getting into these ideas about what the future holds or doesn't hold. And all of a sudden, numbers and your understanding of numbers is what brings about your prosperity and salvation and whatever else you want to stick in there. Well, that's just not the case. This isn't what this is about. Again, Christ is the center. Okay, enough rant. The number 12. In old biblical time, right, what I was able to dig up was just a couple of understandings about the number 12. And three different things that I want to just mention, right? One is completeness. This is something that the number 12 can often represent. Isn't it interesting that Christ is the completion of the cosmos? Number 2, foundation. Isn't it interesting that Christ is the foundation of the Gospels and the people of God? Isn't it interesting that Christ is the true person of God? Okay? So this is what's guiding my interpretation of the number 12 in relation to Jairus' daughter and the adult woman with the issue of blood. Now, let's keep going. Okay, with the woman, the adult woman with the issue of blood, we obviously see the brokenness, the illness, the long suffering of this woman. We can likewise understand that that could be the representation of the brokenness of Israel and the long suffering of Israel, and Israel being set apart for the world as a beacon, right? But we can see that separation there in full community of life. So her condition actually made her ritually unclean for a big portion of her life. And Jairus's daughter, 12-year-old daughter, who could represent Israel's future, which is dead, right? The potential of Israel, which is dead and incomplete and threatened with death. These I see as, while they may have actually happened, are also symbolizes who Christ is and what he is here to do for us and to communicate to us. Now, by Jesus healing both the adult and the daughter, I see him as in the middle of it, and he is sandwiched right in the middle of the old and the new. Jesus is the completion of the old, and he is the foundation of the new. And so by this healing, right, he is the fullness of Israel. He brings the lost, he brings the outcast, he heals the hemorrhaging woman and those that are facing death, right? The child, back into completeness with the family of God. And what does Abraham tell us about the family of God? The promise to Abraham. And then Paul later on says, if you believe, you're part of the family of God. And the only reason you and I believe is because it was revealed to us by the Father. It's the same way with Peter. This is to me the richness of the gospel is Christ. Christ is what it's all about. Now, as he brings in the fullness, right? So this I think would later be symbolically, rebuilt through his 12 disciples. There we go. We got another number 12. So the completeness of the family, right? All of that, all of it. Jesus is trying to communicate something beautiful. He is saying, like, I'm going to bring us together because we were incapable of severing this idea of being separated. But Christ comes and reveals that is no more. Matter of fact, it was a fabrication of your own thoughts and your own ideas that were untrue to begin with. Colossians. You were enemies of God in your own minds. So the woman's issue of blood, right? She would have been ritually unclean, which was a law back in Leviticus 15:25 through 27, which isolated her from her community, her husband, and temple worship. Isn't it interesting too here that Jairus is the ruler of a temple where worship would happen? See, this is no coincidence whatsoever. Like, Dr. Luke is brilliant And he's putting it in there for a reason, for us to see Christ in this. He is restoring it all. And obviously with the 12-year-old girl, right? So she was on the brink of coming to age. She was entering into the possibility of marriage, a full adult status, and in her community. Jairus wants that for her daughter just as much as, and greater, the Father wants us to experience the fullness of life. I giggle because this is amazing to me. We're seeing the relationship of the Trinity happening. It's happening in real time, right in the eyes of the disciples. And as Luke is writing this down, right, as Dr. Luke is writing and hearing the testimonies of the disciples, like this happened. And so her death would have been, there would have been no future for her. And so, again, there's no conspiracy that Jesus would be right in the middle of it. This is him being the fulfillment of the cosmos. It is the demonstration of Christ's own saving power, his grace infiltrating all areas of life. And so we see in this story how he heals and stops the bleeding, and because he is the fulfillment of the old, and we see him bring life to someone who is dead because he is life. See, Jesus can only do what he is and who he is. He can't do something. He's not going to do something that he isn't. He is the completion and the resurrection. And that's what I want to leave you with. I want you to see, I want you to don't get caught up in the numbers necessarily, numerology. Get caught up in who Christ is for us today, and don't be afraid to go on an adventure with Scripture, and to be astonished by what he did and what he accomplished. Anyways, Happy New Year. This was part 3 of Jairus. Thank you for chiming in. Thank you for being a part of our lives. God bless you, and we'll see you next year.